Ross Brody was just weeks away from graduating and starting his new life, hoping to pursue a musical career, but that all came to a heartbreaking conclusion. Ross Brody was a diabetic since the age of 12 and was always very cautious about what he ate and his blood sugar levels. Not! On Friday, June 1st, Ross's parents came home after their weekly date night to shockingly find their 18-year-old son dead on the kitchen floor. After paramedics arrived on the scene, they determined the cause of death was an accidental insulin overdose. So they thought. 18-year-old Ross Brody lived with his parents in a secluded house in the countryside of CANAJOHARIE, New York. He was a friendly guy, a good student, and a talented musician. It seemed no one would have any reason to harm him.
Ross was a great guy and everything, but in all honesty, did he really do that much for me? Nah, he just kind of stayed home and was sick a lot.
One time at ski practice, Ross was going down this hill and he fell on his face and scraped his entire face, and I felt pretty bad for him.
To be honest, I never even noticed Ross was gone because he kind of never went to school anyway.
Ross was a good friend of mine. I mean, he had his fair share of great nights, awesome parties I had with him. He broke my window a couple times, but we all kind of figured he'd die first out of the group, so they're really not surprised when he's dead.
You know, I never really knew Ross that well. I mean, he was a pretty quiet kid when he was here, and then there was all the times that, he just didn't show up to school. It always kind of pissed me off how he would pass every class, though. Like, how do you not do any of your work, not go to any of your classes, and still pass? Meanwhile, I'm here going to school every day, freaking out about my work, and still somehow not doing that great.
Well, I guess this answers the question if he's going to be in jazz band or not. I mean, the answer is no, obviously. He's never going to be in jazz band again. Joe?
However, on the evening of June 1st, Ross was found dead on the floor of his kitchen with a carton of juice and candy in his hands. The blood on his fingers was from testing his blood sugar, said the investigators. On Friday, June 1st, Ross's parents came home after their weekly date night to shockingly find their 18-year-old son dead on the kitchen floor. After transferring the body back into the medical examiner's office, an autopsy was performed due to his unexpected manner of death. After reviewing Ross's body, medical examiner Jim Carey found a new piece of evidence on Ross's fingers.
I found that Ross has blood type A positive, but the blood we found on Ross's fingers was O negative. So we have to ask ourselves, whose blood is this and where did it come from?
Back at the crime scene, some new pieces of evidence were discovered. Outside of Ross's window was an oddly shaped shoe print.
The shoe print is no ordinary shoe print. You wouldn't find this tread necessarily on a running shoe, a sports shoe, or a work shoe.
The shoe examiner narrowed down the shoe print to have come from a point shoe, a type of ballet shoe used for dancing. The second piece of new evidence found at the Brody house was a purple synthetic fiber on Ross's bed. With these pieces of evidence, investigators were led to the CANAJOHARIE Academy of Performing Arts. With their renowned dance team and exquisite program, their colors were purple and white, the same shade of purple as the fiber found at the crime scene. Upon further inspection, investigators found that all the dancers received new dance jackets. These jackets were purple and white and made out of nylon fabric. Nylon is a synthetic fiber. This led investigators to narrow down to two suspects, Danielle Monk, Ross's friend, and Sage Stinson, Ross's known girlfriend. Later, both suspects were questioned about the night of June 1st.
Where were you on the night of June 1st?
I was just, doing the usual. I was just at home with my parents. I was honestly listening to a record in my room, listening to a few records, cleaning them. Yep.
Can they verify that you were at home all night long?
Oh yeah, you can ask either of my parents, especially my mom. My mom was home all night. My dad was home most of the night, so you can ask either.
Danielle's alibi checked out, as her mother stayed home with her the entire evening. Next to interrogate was Sage Stinson.
Where were you on the night of June 1st?
I was at dance rehearsal in Schenectady.
Do you have anyone that can verify your whereabouts?
My mom and the dance academy.
Sage claimed to be at a dance rehearsal in Schenectady, and her mother backed up her alibi. However, after questioning the dance studio, they said they never saw Sage that night. Investigators decided to go back to the crime scene to see if they overlooked anything. Needing more evidence, investigators re-examined the body and remembered that Ross's pump is the key to his death. After dusting for fingerprints, they found a fingerprint on Ross's pump that didn't belong to him. After investigators gathered fingerprint, blood, and hair samples from Sage, Danielle, and Ross, they compared the fingerprints and found that the fingerprint on Ross's pump matched Sage's fingerprint. Also, the blood found on Ross's fingers matched Sage's blood. Investigators returned to the house to find one more piece of evidence. They saw, upon further investigation of the window, there was a strand of hair on the windowsill. This was a long red hair. All the evidence pointed to Sage. She was found at her home on June 6 and was arrested for the murder of her boyfriend Ross Brody. She was sentenced to life in a maximum security prison without parole. She is currently being held at the Great Montgomery County Prison. On the night of June 1st, Sage's mother drove her to Ross's house. When the front door was locked, Sage climbed through the first-story window of Ross's bedroom, leaving the strand of hair while climbing in. She moved quietly towards the bed where Ross was sleeping and increased Ross's insulin levels past the fatal point. When she was leaving, Ross's dog bit her, causing the blood on Ross's fingers and the jacket fiber. When Sage escaped through the window, Ross's dog was barking, causing Ross to wake up. He noticed that his insulin levels were increased and that he needed to increase his blood sugar levels. So he jumped out of his bed and ran to the kitchen to find something to eat. He grabbed juice and some candy, but it was too late. Ross fell to the floor and died. Thanks to forensics experts and the evidence found at the crime scene, Ross's family can rest quietly knowing justice has been served.